into today in my mentions has been that I've been lit on fire by Illinois fans. I miss the days, genuinely, when Illinois fans just loved us. And more selfishly, I'm just going to speak selfishly, me. I miss when Illinois fans loved me, okay? I was honest when I called your coach Daddy Brad. Everybody loved me. I'm just straight up. He dominates my program. He still does. I love Brad Underwood. We went to Champaign last year. We got behind the scenes looks at a lot of stuff, talked to a lot of people around that program. It was a blast. I genuinely love everything about Illinois basketball, except for this roster and except for what they've done this offseason. I think it's okay to say that out loud. I've said it out loud, and suddenly everybody has the pitchforks on me. This is all stemming from a series that the Field of 68 is rolling out that I took part in, where we assign off-season grades to the top 25 teams and then 15 other programs that we know will get a lot of YouTube clicks. Michigan and Illinois were two of the first ones we did. I gave them both a D level grade, Cart. I gave Illinois a D. I gave Michigan a D plus. Some people had a big problem with that plus sign, Cart. So let me just throw it to you. I don't know how much you've been in tune with everything that's being said and what's going on here, but let's just start with this. Who had the better offseason in your eyes, Illinois or Michigan?
I think Illinois clearly had the better offseason in this case. And I do know what's going on because I have your tweet notifications on, just in case something, pops off or is needed, and or you say something and send a shot at me. But I think that for me, you're not, and this might just be me personally grading it. I factor in that you lost Jet, lost Kobe, lost Hunter. I obviously know your stance on that and the fact that you knew that at least Jet and Kobe were gone. You didn't know that. Well, actually, you did know that Hunter was gone, but that's a whole other thing. For me, Illinois getting Terrence Shannon Jr. back and Coleman back alone boost that. I feel like D is too low for that, just off the fact that they got those two dudes back. And then I like the additions of Gary A. I'm still with you. I want to see on other guys like Domansk and Harmon, but I feel like a D is too harsh in this case. And that's not because of how I feel about Illinois fans and them getting upset with me, because I feel the same way. I like Illinois. I like Champaign. I like the Illinois fan base. But we're not going to be guys that are just going to be like hyping up and drinking the Kool-Aid. If you want to hear that, you can go listen to that 200 columns fella or whatever that dude's name is. Like, if something bad is happening with Illinois or something we think is not, up to par, we're going to say it. With that said, giving them a D, I think, is extremely, extremely overreactive or tough in this situation.
Okay, that's fair. I appreciate you checking me on this. I value your opinion. Also, 2,000 columns rye was in my mentions yesterday, so that's a nice call out by you. This also started with our boy Kevin Sweeney, who I think really shed a lot of spotlight. Sweeney's fantastic, right? He's Sports Illustrated Zone. We really like Kevin. We know him personally a little bit from our work the last couple of years, and it's rare that Kevin and I are in like a public disagreement. So I think we both had a little bit of fun yesterday. I know Sweeney's out in Vegas, and I'm obviously just sitting at home in my living room, but it was enjoyable to kind of go back and forth. I didn't realize that going back and forth with Kevin Sweeney meant everybody sees that. That's just how big time Sweeney is. But we asked Kevin Sweeney to come on the show this morning before realizing he was in Las Vegas and there was no way he was going to make a 5 a.m. Mountain Time recording. So I asked him to send us a little video with his thoughts. Cart, let's run the tape.
So I was enjoying my flight to Las Vegas when I saw that Greg Waddell had the audacity to suggest that Illinois had a worse offseason or the same offseason as Michigan. And look, to me, it's pretty clear, right? I understand who was expected to come back, who wasn't. At the end of the day, Illinois brought back one first-team All-Big Ten level player in Terrence Shannon, brought back another really talented player in Coleman Hawkins who could have stayed in the draft. That's monstrous. And then to add in piece here, piece there from the portal. Yes, they didn't get that superstar. Yes, but in the grand scheme of things, that superstar is Terrence Shannon. They didn't need to go get an alpha dog in the portal because they have one already. Whereas with Michigan, I just think the accumulation of losses the Burnett and Nkamhoua additions aren't enough to make up for them. So, look, love the sleepers, big fans of the show. Wish I could be duking it out with you guys on the Zoom, but I cannot sit here and allow Greg Waddell to besmirch the good name of Brad Underwood. I just can't do it.
First of all, great use of the word besmirch. Second of all, he sounds like a substitute science teacher that's mad that his students aren't paying enough attention to him. Third, I get it. Look, okay, Sweeney is right and you're right in a lot of ways of what you're saying here. What I feel like people are missing on my D grade for Illinois' offseason and why I think it's comparable to Michigan is that my offseason grade has nothing to do with how good the team is going to be next year. Like if the reason why, Illinois deserves a better grade than Michigan because Terrence Shannon's on the team. Yes, of course. Like Illinois is a way better roster than Michigan. I have been very vocal about that. All of that's true. Illinois' entire offseason plan, their biggest priority this year, was getting a point guard. Last year's team stunk because they did not have an answer at point guard. They had Terrence Shannon. They had Coleman Hawkins. They had Ty Rodgers. They had Sincere Harris. They had Dane Danger. They had everybody that next year's roster will have on last year's roster. And that team was not good at the end of the season. That team had good moments throughout the season, but it did not have a good end of the season. Things did not fit. There was no point guard. They knew that. All offseason, the entire intention was we need to get a point guard. That was the plan. It didn't happen. So, I'm sorry that I can sit here and say when you failed as a program at the number one most important thing that was missing from last year's roster and was the priority this offseason, and you just got no one, not even got someone who might be okay.
But this is where I bounce. This is where I push back. I think the main priority was to get Terrence Shannon Jr. and Coleman back, and that's it. To me, it's a call it whether it's a minus or a plus or whatever you want to call it. They had a B. Let's just say because of what they did, they had a B minus offseason, and because of the guys they got back. If they would have got a point guard, then we'd be talking A range.
Listen, if they got a point guard, I'm with you. Throw them in the A range. They didn't. That's the only thing that matters.
But you're saying D right now. So you're saying getting a point guard would have took them from a D to an A? That's unreal jump.
Because
that's not where I'm at.
I think people are acting like Illinois is automatically better just by running it back with a core from a team that was bad at the end of last season. They did not fix anything. And I'm sorry, I do not buy that we got rid of toxic personalities and our team is good now. We're going on 3 straight off seasons of getting rid of toxic personalities. New toxic personalities will emerge. In fact, we've already heard rumblings of that. So I won't say them on camera because everyone's going to yell at me and call me a hater, but it is what it is. This churn keeps happening where there's a negative turn on that guy wasn't a good culture guy. It keeps happening over and over and over and over and over again. So what do I think would have made Illinois better? Their number one plan, getting a point guard. They tried to get Ray J. Dennis and didn't. They were waiting on Tiger Campbell before that. Never happened. He never entered the portal. So, and then I get obviously getting Shannon back is huge. He's a top 3 player in this conference. Getting Coleman back is huge. I get that. The team was bad at the end of last season. And if the biggest point that people are making is we needed all our NIL to get those 2 guys back, then I think you mismanaged your NIL budget. If you don't have enough money to go get Kirk Reese, if you don't have enough money to throw at a point guard at the end of the cycle, then you overpaid for 2 guys who lost 13 games last season. Is what it is. And again, this is coming from a place where I think Illinois had a ceiling next year that was really high if they got a good point guard. That's all they had to do. So I think they missed it's more impactful, even though they're a better team, even though I think they're a top 5-6 team in the Big Ten. The fact that they could have been the second best team in the Big Ten and failed, that gives them a D because there was hope for something higher that they didn't reach. Michigan didn't have that hope and they still get a D. That doesn't mean they are awesome. That doesn't mean they're a good team. Michigan had no hope of being anything good. I just like that they got some players that I know can play. I don't even think Illinois did that. Like, we think Marcus Damask could be good. We know Quincy Guerrier is like an 8th man. Do those guys really move the needle?
Eight's a little tough.
He's been bad, man. I'm sorry. He's been bad.
He has. I lean on Syracuse Guerrier a little bit more than I do on Oregon, just because Oregon is I don't know what's going on over there. Can I end this segment by saying one thing?
Sure.
We're like not newsbreakers, and like we actually do like have sources. We don't make things up on here. I just kind of want to let that be known. Like, we're not over here like prying into places trying to get information. We honestly are, pretty good with people who do break news. So when they hear things, we hear things. We don't like make things up. And I feel like people think we make things up. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, there was definitely a contingent that was like victory lapping, like, oh, you said they were going to get Kirk Risa, or like, oh, you said they were going to get this guy earlier in the offseason. I'm like, no, we just talk about what we're hearing, and the people we hear from do know things. Like, that doesn't mean they're always right. That doesn't mean it comes to fruition. This stuff is really fluid in the transfer portal era, and we will get bit for speculating things might happen that don't end up happening, but that doesn't mean we're talking to Twitter eggs. Like, again, I think enough people that have watched or listened to us or seen the College Hoops to Go show should know we have access to people that have real information, specifically at Illinois and outside of Illinois. And look, we don't do this for clickbait. Like, that's the other thing, is a lot of people are like, oh, Greg's just clickbaiting again. We don't do this for clickbait. Let me be very clear. Our Illinois videos on the channel do really well. We love talking about Illinois. Like, they are the most up and down program in college basketball. I think they're the most fun program to talk about. We were doing all these videos when we got 100 views per video. Then all of a sudden, like, we had one take off because we're entertaining and we're good at this. And now we have an Illinois audience. Like, we're going to keep talking about them. That doesn't mean it's clickbait. There's going to be days I say great things about Illinois. There's going to be days I say bad things about them. So, long story short, Illinois, I gave your offseason a D. I stand by that. You're acting like I gave Michigan an A. I didn't. I gave them a D+. I think both these teams completely failed. You put all your resources into getting Ray J. Dennis. You have a gaping hole on your roster where he would have been. Michigan did the same thing with Caleb Love. Okay? Bad offseason. Good basketball team, bad offseason. You're still going to beat Michigan twice by 25 points. Is that fair?
Sure. I guess I gotta throw my grade out there because we are talking grades. I'd be somewhere in the C plus B minus range.
Okay. I think that's where Doster was. I think he might have been B minus. I don't know. I'm too afraid to even go back and watch it back because of how mean people were to me yesterday.